Welcome. This is Ari Kopel with Shattering the Matrix on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you for joining the show again. We have some very just interesting topics again to discuss in reference to the Matrix and the forces that are keeping this planet hostage and what to do about it. But specifically today, I'd like to speak a little bit more about how to determine what is, what the truth is, what these forces are, how to know when they're in play, discuss a little bit about how they operate, what kind of tactics they used. So that's what I'd like to discuss today. And I just wanted to point out that the evil that we're seeing manifesting in the world right now, the acts of violence, the acts of hatred, the agendas, the things that are just hurting humanity in general and all the sentient beings on the planet. These things are just manifestations of the evil agenda that's happening, but it's just really the tip of the iceberg. In other words, we're just looking at the surface. We're looking at a fractal. Okay? Basically, it's a fractal. As above, so below. It's basically what we're looking at. Which means that what we're seeing is really the carrying out of orders in different levels. So we think that what we're looking at right here is the end-all, meaning that if we eradicate this, then it's done. It's not. There's something controlling that is bringing forth this ugly reality here. In other words, we see how it spreads out with evil intent in human beings in a single level, where they create a single act or a single atrocity. We see it in then in groups, perhaps, like gang members and terrorist cells and things like that. And then we'll see it in a bigger group, maybe, a facet of the government, maybe an agency of the government carrying out things that are clandestine and underhanded and shadow governments and things like that. And then, we see it in whole countries. We see it and then we see it in what animates that, which could be, not only the evil forces, but, even alien control, negative aliens that are here with an agenda, and what animates that. And then you ask, what animates that? And when you keep looking, you find that there is a huge nest of like those little Russian dolls. I don't even know what they're called. But, what we're looking at is the tiniest one inside. It just keeps going, higher and higher and higher. So that when we get rid of this level, you just find a different level on top of that. So we've got the beings of light that we that work directly with Source, that are working in eradicating that aspect of the higher ones, but it is really our responsibility to address the ones that are manifesting here on the planet, and that's one of the reasons that we're here in physicality. But the fact that we're in physicality doesn't make, things easier, of course. We're meeting all kinds of challenges every day, because they do that on purpose to make it difficult for us to number one, spot what's happening, spot them directly, and call attention to them, and then pretty much broadcast to everyone like I'm trying to do and others are trying to do as well, letting everyone know, hey, this is what's going on, wake up, this is what's going on, we've got to do something. So they do everything possible to keep us off their trail, creating again, the false information, the feel-good messages, having us divided by arguing and having major differences of opinions to the point that, there's animosity created, of which, it's just food for them, because that's what they do. It's just food for them. The animosity, the feelings of the ego that happens, when one thinks that one knows more, having to show off how much, spiritual attainment one has. And when a person has to really do that, then it really shows that they really haven't done much of spiritual attainment, because that is the least thing you're supposed to do. I mean, really, why even go there? It's just another aspect of the false information. So, again, humanity has been duped. We've been manipulated. The whole structure of this evil empire, shall we say, we can look at it as maybe different, like I'm going to give you analogies, like, for example, it's almost like a corporation that had started originally, and then one of the corporate members, the high corporate members, decided to go rogue and put up its own corporation and take with him or her or whatever, with it, all the perhaps top qualified CEOs and managers and directors and whatever, and promise them this and that and the other, and hey, you're going to get wonderful bennies from this, and let's go ahead and put this corporation in, and we're going to just take the other one down. We want to be the monopoly. We want to be the only corporation that everybody goes to. And so they kind of emulate a little bit what the business plan is for the first corporation, the major one, the first one up there. But they're going to go ahead and produce a product that is probably cheaper, probably, more appealing. So that's pretty much what probably is going on at those levels, where you've got the opposition going after recruits and going after your a person's loyalty, or a certain being's loyalty, by giving them marketing to get them to buy their BS, which is basically their product, their ideologies, their belief system, their the way of thinking, their agenda, whatever that is. Very similar to, if you can follow that track of thinking, what, let's say, a company like a Coca-Cola, for example, would do to market that product to a certain sector. Okay, a company like a Coca-Cola, if they want to go after for example, the youth of this planet, would go and probably find a venue that would be attractive to the youth, a venue where the youth are congregating in. More than likely, if that target market is younger, then the Coca-Cola company would not go for marketing, for example, let's say something like drink Coke because it makes you feel sexy. Okay, if you drink Coke, you're a very sexy person. Okay, something like that, which is going to be very attractive to the youth. If they hear that, they're going to feel sexy, they're going to feel empowered, and all those wonderful things. So Coke is not going to go and use that kind of marketing in a magazine, in a maybe on TV, maybe maybe an old-fashioned type of venue. Maybe they'll go for maybe more technology, maybe for their iPads, maybe for maybe they're a Kindle or something like that. More technology oriented. So they specifically will target the kind of technology or venue that they're going to market this information through, so that the receiver, which is the potential consumer, will be on that already, will be more receptive to it because they're already, it's already part of their being. It's already part of their awareness. It's already part of their life. Very similar to the kind of stuff that the opposition, the dark side, does when addressing people, sentient beings, humanity. Specifically, speaking of the light workers, the light warriors, the light bearers, the way shorers, all those that came here to uphold the light, to hopefully have this planet turn around and be delivered up to the light again, to transform the planet. So to keep us from doing that, they have very cleverly, they know that what we function from, our technology, shall we say, the venue, shall we say, is the fact that we are good beings, we're loving beings, and we function from not only getting the information in our head, but what eventually ends up in our heart. We function from our heart. And so anything that is of a vibration that has to do with love, with being in service, that type of thing, that type of vibration, which is usually a vibration of love, right? They're going to deliver the message through there, okay, through that particular venue. And they find ways of encapsulating the subliminal messages or the corrupt messages, just like very similar, like if I was to give my pet, my dog, for example, medication for what, for whatever illness that they may have, could be an antibiotic. My dog specifically does not obviously like the taste of the medicine, so if I give it to her directly in her mouth, she'll spit it out. But if I hide it in a marshmallow, she takes it. And she loves it, actually, because she can't even taste the pill. So they do the same thing. It's encapsulated, so they sugarcoat it. They sugarcoat the message. It's very embellished, and with truisms. Okay, so what is the marshmallow here? It's the truism. It's the fluff. Okay, the embellished words, the terms of endearment, and that encapsulates the information that is kind of like not true. And so the not true things are, for example, everything is okay, everything is in divine order, everything is progressing the way it should be. We're going to be ascending very soon. The fifth dimension is here. We're going to, we've created a new earth that is already waiting. All these things that keep us feeling good, because that is our nature. We want to feel good, and because it's vibrating into that feel good resonance, it's matching, and we're accepting it. it's a perfect match. It gives us the endorphin kick in our brain, saying, "Oh wow, this feels good. This feels good. This has got to be true." But when you really look at it and you take it apart, if you take that marshmallow apart, you will find that there's a pill in there, and that pill is very bitter, and it's not the marshmallow. And then you start questioning, well, why was it encased in a marshmallow? Why was that in there to begin with? And why, if it was that important, if it was true, it should stand true by itself. It shouldn't be delivered where it's covered up. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that the truth stands on its own. The truth is transparent. It's pure. It's flawless. It flows. There is no need to embellish it. There is no need to encase it with anything else. So when you start seeing this, that you're hearing a message or reading a message that has a lot of embellished words, terms of endearment, super, super positive, contrary to what you're seeing in the world. I'm asking you to stop for a second and don't swallow that pill. Don't swallow it, because you're gonna swallow the marshmallow and the fluff, but inside there is information that is put in on purpose to get you off track, to get you believing that everything is okay, believing that help is coming, that new technologies are on their way, that the space brothers and sisters are any minute going to rescue us or going to land, that the ascended masters are going to be showing up at any moment. It's always an external force that has got your back. And yes, they do in a way, but they're not here to interfere. They're here to allow us to grow, to speak up, okay? And it's almost like a parent that has a child going to school, and a child is getting picked on and picked on and picked on, and I've personally had that experience with my children. They get picked on, and I've been picked on when I was a child. But it would have been a disservice for my mother to have stepped in and correct the action of that child so that I could be okay. It was a better service for me to have realized, you know what, I love myself enough to be able to speak up for myself or take care of it. And that has made me a stronger person. The same thing I've have done with my children. I can only guide them, but I cannot step in for them and tell them how to, in other words, I can't step in there and beat up the kid, or I cannot go in there and, discipline that child. That child is not my child. But my child, what I need to do is make him or her stronger by having him or her address that issue. And believe me, that I'm saying is that the real true beings of light, the true beings that are extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrials that work with Source, those are not here to help us grow. They're here to to perhaps guide us, perhaps supervise the program, supervise make sure that that the evil doesn't get too out of control, perhaps to the point that the world explodes. Maybe nuclear weapons are used that could contaminate other worlds, things like that. But they're not really here to interfere, because that is definitely would be not in our best interest ultimately. So the bottom line is that the evil ones will imitate beings of light, information that we will resonate to. They do it as a market, almost like they're marketing to us, because they know that we're already predispositioned to receive that type of information based on the fact that we work from our hearts, that we operate from our hearts. Most of us do. And so by infiltrating that information, covering it up with the fluff, we're taking it in because it feels good, and that's the endorphin kick, or the, it just keeps us in a very positive, good, feel-good feeling, high, spiritual high, whatever you want to call it. But it keeps us from the opposite, which is looking at the ugly stuff that they're doing, because it makes us feel bad. So it's direct opposition. It's like it makes us feel bad, makes us very uncomfortable, makes us have to face things and take responsibility for what's going on. They're telling us that by looking at it, we're bringing it on to our reality. So, that's part of the pill, the lie. So we're believing that because it's true. If we look at it, it makes us feel bad. So why are we even looking at it? We shouldn't be looking at it. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to feel good. We're supposed to hold space. We're supposed to be a love and light. And that's the joy that we have. And what they're doing is they're creating an illusion. So that while we're feeling in that space, that little illusion, that little hologram of feel good, make-believe reality that they're creating through a Truman Show type of scenario, where you're putting the pretty flowers and the pretty sunsets and the sunrise and the ocean breeze and all that pretty feel-good stuff. And it's a set. It's an illusion. They're in the meantime, they're sneaking in elsewhere, and they're doing all kinds of calamities and all kinds of things, and we're not stopping them, because they've already programmed in us that we're not supposed to stop them, because if you look there, it's opposite of, it's making you feel bad, therefore it's got to be bad, therefore you don't want to bring it into your reality because you're going to stop feeling good. So we're programmed. It's Pavlov's dog, is basically, if you're all familiar with Pavlov's dog, they basically have trained us psychologically and through behavioral stimuli that we're not supposed to do certain things, because if we do certain things, we're going to get zapped. And how do we get zapped? We feel bad. It makes us feel bad. So they have us looking the other way, because when we look the other way, we feel good. It makes us feel good. So we're psychologically trained to do things that are in direct opposition to the best interest of humanity. So that is how they have infiltrated our ranks, are keeping us divided, are keeping us from taking action. They're taking over the planet one person at a time. One being at a time, doing all kinds of horrendous things to the actual planet, to the environment, and to every sentient being on the planet. This is just very, very crucial stuff. When they materialize and they, something that will materialize in front of you that is calling themselves by a name, or if you read something that has been written somewhere in a blog or an article or something that starts with words like precious ones or dear hearts, or they'll say I am Sananda, or this is El Moria, or Lord something or other. The higher beings of light do not need to justify their existence. They do not need accolades. They do not need, PhDs and after their names. They don't need any terms to justify or to identify their rank or to identify their attainment. They really don't. They speak very to the point. And here's where the thing is that they're beings of love, but here's where a lot of people misunderstand what love is. Many people think, and here's how, again, the opposition tricks you, because they feed you the sugar, the sugar, which is the lower kind of love, that fluff love, that goofy love, that little girl love, the puppy love, that first love, when you fall in love, you get a crush, that cutesy love, fluffy, it's all embellished. But love is much more than that. I know you can all agree to that. It's not just fluff. And it's not just, goofiness. When a person talks in some kind of message that you receive via either a reading a material or hearing material through a lecturer or even a YouTube channel information, and they all speak about, how you have to be love and you have to come from love. What love? What love are you talking about? Which love are you talking about? Because the love, the true love of God, that true love of Supreme Creator, has not been expressed yet through anyone, except probably, a being that came to this planet and was Christed. That kind of love. But the love that most people experience, we don't know that love in this plane. So to talk about that in a way that, yes, we need to be that love, we haven't attained that yet. We don't know how. We don't even know how to even address that. And that particular love is all-encompassing. Love is not just fluff. Love is not just, feel good and hold hands and kumbaya. Love also is very rigid sometimes. And sometimes it's very harsh. And sometimes it's corrective. And people misunderstand that when a person, let's say, when a mother has to correct a child, has to discipline a child, it is usually, a very high percentage of the time out of love. It is not out of hate. It is not out of vengeance. It is not because the person is a psychopath, although there are those exceptions. Like there are exceptions in a lot of things. But the majority of the time, the mother is being corrective or correcting the child's behavior out of love for that child. And so that is love as well. If a parent gets angry at a child because in the process of being corrective towards the child, it's out of love towards the child. And so to misunderstand that or put everything in a little box and say, if it doesn't look like it's sugary and fluffy and feel good all the time, like little butterflies in your stomach and things like that, that's not love. Okay? But the dark ones don't operate from the all-encompassing love. They only take little aspects of what they can handle, what they can copy and paste, and they use that. So what they can use is the lower vibrational ones, and then they use that, and they feed it to us as part of that sugar candy, that marshmallow that they're going to coat, and then they put the little pill in there with all the erroneous information. And because we're thinking that love is supposed to look that way, we're more receptive to taking in that information. And so the marketing plan is very successful. Their agenda is going through very successfully because they have no problem marketing to people that are receptive, that are very good clients, are very good possible customers, that are not even questioning, what is being given to them, that it's even false because they can't even see it. They're not even bothering to open up the marshmallow to find out that there's a bitter pill in there. So we've been infiltrated that way. We've been infiltrated because we function from our heart, and our heart, wants to love, wants that major love of the Supreme, and I promise you, if you've ever been in front of a being that is truly of the light, that works with Supreme Creator, that emulates that love, and that being comes in front of you, it puts you to your knees. Okay, it puts you to your knees. The love is so overwhelming that honestly your heart cannot hold so much love that you express it in emotion. It is amazing to experience. Am I capable of doing that in this particular body? I probably don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I'm able to do that. But at the same time, to think that love is just what I'm capable of knowing or expressing is not true. This is not just the only aspect of love. Our love is so much more. But the opposition only uses a certain aspect of love, which is only the ones that they're capable of reproducing and capable of copying, and that is what they're feeding us. They're feeding us candy. They're feeding us the sugary, high fructose corn syrup, the MSGs, the stuff that keeps us coming back because it's addictive, because the fluff stuff feels good. The corrective one does not. And but love is all of it. So to be discerning, you have to understand the tactics. You have to understand how Source really, operates. Source is very, very clear and very clean and very pristine, and there is no convoluted anything. It's transparent. It's easy. It flows. When you have to deliver a message that has so much decoration on it, and it's almost like you're driving by a Christmas scene, and one of those houses that just goes over the top, and you go, oh my God, I mean, this person's electric bill must be like through the roof, actually, to over the top, and they'll just outdo each other in the neighborhood. I mean, I've been through those neighborhoods in my lifetime where each house outdoes the other. Totally unnecessary, but but when you see that in a message that is just so adorned and decorated and fluffy and just that's a sign. That's a sign. The true masters, the true beings of light, do not operate like that. They do not communicate that way. As a matter of fact, they don't even use words to communicate. When they have to address you, if they need to address you, they will address you. And they will address you directly. They will address you, more than likely, it'll be a total gestalt of information that will come to you, and you will get a download, and through that download, you will be able to the whole knowing will unfold. And you will receive that information sometimes on a need-to-know basis. In other words, that whole information will be revealed to you as you need, and you will. It comes in as like I said, as a knowing, but the knowing is a certainty. It's a total certainty that you know the information, that you have experienced this information from a level that is much higher than the plane of existence that you're in right now. And it's very clean, very clear, very pristine, and it's absolute. There is no question. There's no vacillation between could it be, could it not be. No, it's absolute certainty. So these are one of the signs of how to determine whether information is true or not. You definitely don't want to see embellishments. And now the new thing is that they're stating, because they're getting so clever, the opposition is getting so clever now, that they already know we're onto them. Okay? So now they're stating things like, oh, well, this information is not channeled. This information is telepathic. This information is a download. Yeah, but then it's got all the other stuff in there. So learn to read the signs. Excuse me. The signs are very clear. How they market, and for those that are pretty new to the spiritual understandings, and we were so excited when we discover all these things. We're like little kids in a candy store, little kids in a toy store. It's like, oh my gosh, where were you all my life? That I could have probably had a much better life had I known about all these things before. So we're so excited that we're just, grabbing this information and grabbing that information and just running with it, because, again, it enables us to explain a lot of the inconsistencies and the weirdness and the crazy life and the hardships, and we can put some kind of perspective to it, some kind of meaning behind it. But they're giving us that, the dictionary that they're giving us to translate all this information is a dictionary that they've created with their own terminology and their own ideals and their own things. I mean, it's incorrect. It's they're giving you a ruler. It's like they're the manufacturers of rulers, and you're supposed to go out and measure based on a warped ruler. It doesn't jive. The measurement is wrong. Because they've manufactured it wrong to begin with, so that you can get the wrong measurements, the wrong information. So they give you the wrong stuff on purpose to keep you off track, to keep you looking, away from the truth, which is what they're really up to. And what they're really up to, of course, is the enslavement of humanity, taking over the whole planet. They're an infestation. That's what they are. They're coming in as invaders. I mean, and a lot of them are here, or could have been here for a while. But our government and those that work with these beings, whether they're alien, whether and a lot of them are alien, but it's what's animating the aliens. That's the thing. People don't understand. It doesn't stop at the aliens. It doesn't stop at the archons. It's what animates the archons. Okay? And what animates that animates the archons. It's a perpetual war. And the Orion Wars were very, very real, of which Star Trek was written after. It's based on the Orion Wars. All these wars were very real. These wars still go on. And again, we're fighting powers and principalities. And the fact that we're in this body right now, and that we can shatter this matrix through our own willpower, through our own standing together in unity. Humanity calling forth our freedom, calling forth our freedom, calling forth for the light. Okay, that in itself causes a rip in the matrix, of which now then we, the higher ups can take advantage and rip it and have a chance to eradicate it at the different levels. But it has to start somewhere. And if we are being enslaved and we're not paying attention, because we don't want to, because it's too much work, because it doesn't make us feel good anymore, we're not, we don't have that sugar high, that sugar rush. We don't like how we feel when we're like feeling down, because the bad news about children being kidnapped and child trafficking and women being, raped and tortured, and who wants to hear that? I mean, it puts you in such a bad place, it gets you in such a bad mood, and so what can you do anyway? That's exactly what they want you to say. Exactly what they want you to think. Exactly what they want you to feel. Because by not taking action, by not wanting to see it, you're not going to change it, and therefore they won. They basically won by us not standing together and saying enough, not on my watch, it's not going to happen anymore. Okay, if we don't get angry, and a lot of people have this, this thing about anger. What is this thing with anger? If you need to get angry, then get angry. Get angry. Get off your chair, and scream if you have to. Because it should make you scream. It should make you angry. It should make you upset. It should move you to a point of taking action. How else is this going to be corrected if it's not through us? How else is this going to be corrected? And, and I'm not saying pick up a gun and a shovel or a bat and start, hitting and hurting people. Now, this is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that together there are solutions that we can do, and we can take advantage of the same strategies that they use to be able to take care of this situation on this planet. Same situation. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. We really need to step it up and stand united on the same page about this. I am trying to tell you that there is very specific steps that they take on how to dupe us. And one of them is the way that they deliver their marketing strategy, their marketing scheme. They're very clever. They use our heart to be able to do that. They embellish things. They keep us divided by playing on our ego. They have us go through different schools of thought, and then we become proficient in that school of thought because, holy cow, look at that. I'm good at this. I really got this one. I really understand this really good. And you know what? I've been studying this now for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever. I'm a master at this. I can explain this. I can teach this. And then you go to a divinity school, or you go to to any of these places, and you get your masters or your doctorates and whatever, and then you can write a book now explaining all this information, and you write your name. Now you can put PhD at the end. Wow, people really now respect me for that now. I'm an authority in that. I can lecture on that. I can make a living on that now. Pay my matrix bills with this. Maybe do a couple of DVDs, get a couple of YouTube videos out, and go and do some tours, and in the lectures, do some lectures, and it's all part of the matrix. All of that. It's all you're teaching about liberation, maybe freedom, maybe ascension, but it's all, you're still in that little hamster wheel. And at some point you've got to say, well, did I really learn anything? Am I really teaching the right things? Because if I'm not empowering somebody, okay, if I am a teacher and have all these doctorates and experiences that I claim to have, and contacts and knowledge and whatever, and I'm a teacher, and I am teaching you something, but I give you enough just so that you can keep coming back to me, so that you can pay for my lecture continuously. And that is what's going to keep me, of course, being able to buy the goods and the things that I need in order to have an existence in the matrix. Then what are you really doing? Are you really doing what you're teaching? Are you walking the walk? And if you're not a teacher and you're the student and you're listening to this, what are you doing? And why? When all along all you need to do is connect to source. You don't need a teacher who bought into the lie teaching you. What the heck can they possibly teach you? The teacher, for example, if I was all right, if I'm going to teach, if I'm going to sell you a fish, right? All right, I'm going to sell you a fish when you come to my store. Because you need to eat, and I'm going to sell you a fish, and you're going to take it home and eat it with your family. And you're going to come back the next day or the day after or a week after, whatever, and you're going to buy again fish from me. It's not to my best interest to teach you how to fish or grow fish, because if I do that, there goes my business. Then I can't eat. I can eat the fish maybe, but I can't eat chicken, and I can't eat eggs, and I can't, unless I grow my own chicken. But you can't. You don't have the diversity of food. All you can do is eat what you grew there. But what my point is that it's no different than a person who's teaching you something and giving you only its pieces of information, when they really should teach you to go directly to source. The problem is that if you go directly to source and you don't need them anymore, then there goes that whole thing, right? So what I'm trying to explain is that there's just something not right there. I know it's just not me. I'm hoping you guys are seeing this. That doesn't make any sense. And it's just absolutely, it's convoluted. It's not right. And that particular type of way of being is basically you've fallen into the matrix scheme, and you're working along with those that are trying to keep this whole thing in place. The matrix. Being in that hamster wheel, doing all the things that we need to do in order to survive is really hard. It's really hard to get out of it, but we need to get out of it. And at some point, we're going to have to say, well, we just... we need to stand together and just get out of it. I just don't even know how to explain this, but, stop going to, shop at XYZ stores that maintain that whole conglomerate of corporations that maintain the greed, that maintain the enslavement. Use less gasoline, walk a little bit, just carpool. Start thinking out of the box. We have the power. It's, we're the ones that are consuming. We're the consumers. This whole thing, this whole paradigm is based on the majority, which is us. They've created the supermarkets and the superstores and the shopping malls and the big cars and all the stuff. And many of us are really making an effort to get out of it, but the majority of us can't, or just won't, or just don't know how. And so we need to think about that. These are a lot of things that will help bring this thing down. If we hurt them where it hurts, Okay, not only manifesting the world we want through our intention, through our manifestation process, but on top of that, be proactive and get off the matrix. Do whatever you can to stop it, and just consume less. Stop using the big stores and the fancy schmancy things. And I know most of you, I'm not even talking to, most of you don't even do that. Because we're already of a consciousness that we just don't do that. But these are the type of things that maybe we need to share with others, and not that anybody is going to hear us. And that's the other thing. A lot of people won't hear us. They think we're nuts already. But maybe we can be an example, a little bit, be a little bit more responsible on how, when we buy things, buy it maybe from the mom and pop store as opposed to the big corporation stores, and do things like that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that we do need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to take care of our health. And with that comes the fact that we should be careful, just eat the right foods. Try to eat better. Sometimes eating better is not always easy because it costs more. But if you have any way of growing your own little tomato patch, or your little, your own peppers or whatever, try to do that, and just you need to take care of yourselves, and this includes being prepared, because not only are they going to mess with the planet's economy, but there's also just changes that are happening on the planet. Just look at the weather. Look at the different changes that are happening in the tectonic plates, creating earthquakes and whatnot. So we really need to have supplies and extra food and medication and whatever it is that you need, because we need our bodies. We need our bodies right now to be able to function and be able to do what we need to do to change this planet around, to turn it around and bring it to the light, transform it to the light. And that is a reason we're embodied. So if we're no longer in a body, then there's less of us doing what we need to do to get this to work the way it's supposed to work. And so it's really, really important to, if you already know, we already know things are progressing in the timelines, changes are happening, then by all means, there is take care of that. Take care of your family. Buy extra cans of tuna if you have to, if you have the amount of money necessary to buy extra. Buy the extra, toothpaste or whatever provisions you need. So, with that in mind, I'm just going to call it a night. I really appreciate you all joining our show today. These are just, again, it's just information that is necessary to understand how they very cleverly disguise themselves through information and through beings that seem to be all loving and all that. But the whole point of this whole message today is to be able to determine and to be able to discern when you're being lied, when you're being duped, when it's not coming from source, because everything from source is pristine, is clean, is transparent, is pure, is absolute, it's certain. And if it's not vibrating from a very, very high vibration, and it's not transparent, if it feels like they're giving you a piece of candy, don't swallow it. Open it up, take a look at it, and examine exactly what it is that they're saying, and read between the lines, and read what is not being said. That's another one. There's a lot that sometimes is not said that you can get so much information from, and you'll know without a shadow of a doubt that it is not correct information, that it's corrupt, that it's disinformation. Anyway, this is Ari Kopel, once again, with Shattering the Matrix, coming to you hopefully every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we hope to see you again next week on Block Talk Radio. Good night.